This company, which many people are unfamiliar with, actually owns a majority of major US banks, pharmaceutical companies, mainstream media outlets, and oversees a significant portion of global stock trading. Its assets have reached a staggering $10 trillion, equivalent to half of America's total GDP. In fact, the US and Chinese governments now rely on this company, BlackRock, to navigate economic recessions. The CEO of BlackRock holds influential positions on the boards of the Council on Foreign Relations and the World Economic Forum. As Henry Kissinger famously said, "Whoever controls the money controls the world." And no other company in history has wielded such immense global influence. Remarkably, BlackRock has achieved all of this in just 34 years. Yet, it remains relatively unknown to many. However, the reasons behind this obscurity will become clear later in this video, as we delve into the past and learn how Larry Fink, the founder and CEO of BlackRock, transformed it from a mundane investment firm into the most powerful company in existence. Larry, born into a wealthy family in Los Angeles in 1952, always had a hunger for power. He initially pursued a career in politics, earning a bachelor's degree in political science from UCLA. However, he soon realized that real power lay in money rather than politics. This realization led him to shift his focus towards banking and real estate. While in college, Larry immersed himself in the world of the wealthy and influential, becoming a full-time member of the secretive Kappa Beta Phi group, which counted Michael Bloomberg and the chairman of Goldman Sachs among its members. Larry used these connections to kickstart his career in the mortgage bond department at First Boston, a New York-based investment bank. It was during his time at First Boston that Larry made his mark on the financial world. He became one of the highest-earning employees, generating over $1 billion in revenue. He was seen as unstoppable and poised to become the CEO. Larry became an expert in complex and little-understood investments during his tenure. But his success came at a cost. He was determined to make this money for himself and began creating a financial time bomb that only he knew how to defuse. In 1986, Larry's risky practices and ambition caught up to him. After making a series of risky trades, he made a huge blunder and lost $100 million of the bank's money within months. His reputation and goodwill crumbled, and he was banished from First Boston. It seemed like his dream of world domination was just a fantasy, and he would never make it to the top. However, Larry was not willing to give up his power so easily. Instead, he used this disaster to his advantage, vowing to make risk management his main focus going forward. After becoming unemployed at the age of 36, Larry teamed up with some of his old connections from Kappa Beta Phi, and in 1988, BlackRock was formed. In just 5 years, BlackRock's value soared from $5 million to over $8 billion. However, there were challenges along the way, including a power struggle for control of BlackRock's future. Larry wanted a bigger share of the pie and did not want to share his plans for world domination. So in 1995, he pressured one of the co-founders, Schwartzman, to sell their stake in BlackRock for $250 million, a stake that would now be worth over $12 billion alone. Despite these power games, Larry's path to world domination seemed unstoppable as he became more and more powerful over the next decade. However, Larry's ambition was not satisfied. As mentioned earlier, he had created a ticking time bomb during his time at First Boston, and now in 2008, it was ready to explode. The worst financial crash since the Great Depression struck the world, and Larry's role in it was significant. Traders describe it as the craziest day they had ever seen in the markets, with oil prices and the crisis escalating rapidly. However, BlackRock's focus on asset management and Larry Fink's foresight of the crisis helped them weather the storm. In fact, the crisis presented an opportunity for Larry Fink as he used his personal connections with Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner to secure an uncontested contract to manage the assets of multiple banks that had collapsed during the crisis, further consolidating his power and influence on Wall Street. But Larry Fink's ambition did not stop at Wall Street. BlackRock made another breakthrough by offering ETFs, which are investment funds that invest in all the companies in a certain industry. This proved to be immensely popular, and BlackRock became the largest player in this market, exerting control over the entire industry. They also invested heavily in technology, building a supercomputer named Aladdin that managed over $20 trillion worth of assets for BlackRock. This massive wealth and control over assets allowed BlackRock to further extend their influence, including stakes in major corporations and ties with governments, making them inextricably intertwined with the global economy. Similar to the 2008 financial crisis, during the coronavirus pandemic, the Federal Reserve enlisted BlackRock to manage their investments in order to safeguard against economic downturns. Capitalizing on this dependence, Larry Fink has further expanded his empire, becoming a billionaire oligarch with unprecedented power not just over the economy, but over the entire world. He now wields influence over trends, culture, foreign policy, and the banking sector, with world leaders at his beck and call. With BlackRock overseeing assets equivalent to 10% of the global economy, they have stakes in various industries including media companies, banks, oil companies, and weapon manufacturers. However, the consequences of Larry Fink's growing control over the world are becoming dire in recent years. BlackRock, along with Vanguard, another investment company in which they have partial ownership, exerts control over the world by also controlling the media. They own significant stakes in major media companies such as Fox, CBS, Comcast, and Disney, among others, which means that these companies must consult with BlackRock before making company policies. BlackRock has also become the largest institutional investor in big tech companies like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon, among others. This extensive reach allows BlackRock to control over 90% of the media, which may explain why they are not widely known, as controlling the media is a crucial step for BlackRock in its pursuit of global dominance. Moreover, BlackRock's control extends beyond media to encompass the world's economic and political data through their proprietary platform called Aladdin, which accurately predicts investment outcomes. However, the source of Aladdin's data is concerning, as BlackRock's ownership of banks, insurance companies, social media giants, and pension funds provides them with vast amounts of personal data on individuals who have invested with them, knowingly or unknowingly. This wealth of data gives BlackRock immense power, allowing them to influence governments and companies by leveraging this information. For instance, BlackRock successfully lobbied to manage the EU's regulation of banks despite owning banks themselves, a situation that is now under investigation for potential conflicts of interest. A 2016 study published in a finance journal revealed that investment companies like BlackRock engage in widespread, behind-the-scenes intervention in the companies they own stakes in. This issue is exacerbated by the fact that BlackRock owns stakes in nearly all major publicly traded companies. Furthermore, amidst the current recession, BlackRock is aggressively buying homes and real estate, driving up house prices and increasing their profits. This is concerning because it can lead to a situation where people do not own their homes but rather rent, allowing BlackRock to further exploit the economy through inflated mortgages on these artificially inflated homes. The situation becomes even more troubling when considering that BlackRock's power is now being compromised by other actors. For instance, in August 2020, BlackRock became the first foreign company to be allowed access into China's mutual fund industry, enabling them to invest in and own parts of Chinese companies. The implications of this are known, as it is unclear what BlackRock promised the Chinese government in exchange for this access. By being allowed into China, BlackRock is now working with companies that are blacklisted by the US, such as their investment in a CCP-owned company called Hikvision, which is known for producing security and communications technology for both civilian and military use by the Chinese government, and has been implicated in widespread human rights abuses. It is important to note that the money being invested in China by BlackRock is not just their own money, but also comes from pension funds and bank accounts of ordinary people, who unwittingly invest in BlackRock through controlling banks. This recent trend of BlackRock funding authoritarian regimes like China and Russia can have detrimental effects on Western democracy, as it empowers these regimes and promotes others to follow suit. In fact, BlackRock recently recommended that their investors triple their investments in China, which would funnel billions more into a dystopian regime at the expense of the West. Adding to the concern is the fact that China sees the companies operating within its borders as extensions of the one-party state, and BlackRock, with its vast data and influence, plays a significant role in this. BlackRock's investments in China have grown substantially since August 2020, and this could have far-reaching consequences for global politics and the world economy. Moreover, BlackRock's push for companies to serve a social purpose and their creation of ESG, or Environmental, Social, and Corporate Governance scores, which rate companies based on their political and social stances, is seen as hypocritical given their investments in companies associated with human rights abuses and nuclear threats. This phony rating system can reward companies for superficial gestures, while potentially ignoring the harm caused by their investments. It is fascinating to observe how prominent investors such as insurance companies and institutional investors are increasingly prioritizing investments with favorable ESG ratings. Looking at the past, it seems that BlackRock, with its close ties to government leaders globally, its significant influence over the World Economic Forum, and Larry Fink's positions on various boards, is poised to further expand its control over our daily lives. This could potentially redefine the new era of our globalized world, where powerful corporations like BlackRock amass more power than countries, and our politics and society are dictated by investment boards controlled by BlackRock, resulting in a culture that is generic, mindless, vapid, and vicious. BlackRock may represent a world divided between a handful of large companies and powerless, financially disadvantaged, and joyless citizens. Companies like BlackRock buying up houses and profiting from conflicts and turmoil could be contributing to the inability of ordinary people to afford homes and the increasing division in society. This situation highlights that we may no longer be living under free market capitalism, but rather a system of socialism for the rich. And that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed learning about the incredible facts and stories we shared on our channel. If you're hungry for more amazing knowledge, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our latest videos. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and be amazed by the world around you.